I lose faith every time I see you now.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Makowski's Minute. I'm your host, Joe Makowski, and today we are talking about one of my favorite albums, a little bit of fresh cream. Put it in my coffee in the morning. Released on December 9th, 1966 in the UK and in January of 67 in the US. It is the debut album of one of the most influential rock bands in the 1960s, or just of all time, man. This is Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker, and Eric Clapton. It's Eric Clapton right when he got out of the Yardbirds, but we'll talk about that. But, man, it's cream. If you like rock and roll, if you like early rock and roll, dude, these guys put it on a new path, man. So check out this album. The album spent 92 weeks on the Billboard 200, peaking at number 39 on August 31st, 1968. So it came out in the U.S. in January 67, and then finally peaked on the Billboards almost 2 years later, year and a half later. Like, that late bloomer there, maybe. I thought that was interesting, but either way, like I said, it's a great album. It's certified gold since, and the first single to come off of it was Spoonful, released in September of 1967. Spoonful is a Willie Dixon song, and it was first recorded by Howlin' Wolf in 1960. The album ranked number 102 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Albums of All Time, and has said to be instrumental in the birth of heavy metal and jam rock. Which it is, man. Like, you know, their live shows stretched out those solos and everything. You know, you got Toad going for 15 minutes with Ginger Baker doing one of the first rock drum solos and stuff like that. And, you know, these guys, man. These guys. I Feel Free is the first track in the U.S. version, replacing Spoonful, but was released as a single in the U.K. So they switched those two around there. So Clapton got out of the Yardbirds, and after the Yardbirds, he wanted a little bit more musical freedom. I guess he didn't care for the more pop direction that the Yardbirds were going in. He wanted to keep it blues. It's Eric Clapton, man. So Ginger Baker was in the Graham Bond organization at one point with Jack Bruce on bass, but I guess they didn't like each other. A story about Ginger beating up Jack Bruce with a microphone stand and holding him at knife point to get him out of the band or whatever. But hey, whether those stories are true, we may never know. So Ginger Baker got out of there, and he wanted to do something fresh and new. And the first person he thought of to kind of recruit was Eric Clapton, because it's Eric Clapton. He even back then, even in his young days, he had that. He just got out of the Yardbirds, and his reputation around there was he's the best. He's the best of the best, man. He's the cream of the crop. All right. So Ginger picks up Clapton. They're talking about stuff. Clapton's like, yeah, I'm in, but you gotta hire Jack Bruce on bass. And Ginger's like, oh, hell. But they do. They put aside their differences, and they have this band, but tensions did arise, which, you know, such a short-lived band. It was probably because Bruce and Baker didn't really get along, but whatever. Of the 10 tracks on the album, 5 of them are covers from Robert Johnson, Skip James, Muddy Waters, Willie Dixon, and Dr. Ross, man. Again, the blues world, the cream of the crop, man. My favorite song, though, it's not on here, but it's I Feel Free. See, I got the one with Spoonful on it. So, but I Feel Free is my favorite, man. Just that bum, 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 bum. It gets me every time, man. I love it. But Toad is on here. Like I said, one of the first rock and roll drum solos. Drum solos had been done by jazz, you know, for a long time and stuff, but with rock and roll coming about and doing its thing, Ginger was the first dude that kind of did that, man, did the drum solo. But even if you see the documentary Beware of Mr. Baker, which is about Ginger Baker, he will even say he's a jazz drummer. And a lot of his close friends will always say he's a jazz drummer. But Toad was sweet, sometimes lasting 15 minutes at their live shows, man. And Ginger was always regarded as one of the first rock and roll drummers. But like I said, the boy was a jazz man. The band broke up at the end of 1968 after only 4 albums, this being the first of them, and pretty much because Bruce and Baker couldn't get along, and they had a really long touring schedule, and tensions arose and everyone was fed up and Clapton was done with the drama and yeah. But that didn't help when he went on to do Blind Faith after, and Ginger kind of followed him into that, and the drama kind of followed with him, I guess, and that's why I've read that's why that was so short-lived too, but Blind Faith was sweet too, man. The best of Cream was released in July of '69 after the band had already broke up. It's all their hits, man. This is a great album. Also hit on the charts there too. And like I said, for anybody that wants to know more, dude, watch Beware of Mr. Baker, because that guy is a trip. I've watched it a few times. That whole thing is just a trip. It's crazy. So highly recommend that documentary. Join me next week when we're talking about a little CCR. That's your Mikowski's Minute. Have a good night, everyone. Cool. That was much better.